How do people manage to play video games for so many hours? The most I've clocked in on a game so far is 120. And that's 1.5 times the amount of my second place game. I constantly see reviewers on Steam and Reddit users who have well over 1,000 hours on some enormous games such as Red Dead Redemption 2 or Baldur's Gate 3. I imagine that a lot of, if not most of these people have full-time jobs and or kids along with other commitments. And even if they didn't, how do they not get bored of these games they've spent so much time with? I'm asking out of respect and jealousy, lol. Games that I have high hours on I have been playing for years. I don't play them all the time, but I go back every so often and play for a while. I'm in thousands of hours on my Sims 4 game, but I have been playing it off and on for almost a decade now. People game in different ways. Some people get bored quickly and have to play a different game every month, while others can play the same game every day for years and find it hard to jump to something new. If you play a game every day for an hour, which isn't much for people without kids, at least then in a year that's already 365 hours. Any missed days would be more than made up for by occasional 3-5-hour sessions on weekends and stuff. Also, even people without much free time may sacrifice sleep to game late night. Not the healthiest thing, but very common. You know how some people fucking love working on cars and can spend 4 hours on a weekend detailing their car? Or someone can binge an entire season of a show in one day. Some people get the same juice out of games. I don't think there's a real explanation other than different strokes for different folks. Games hit my dopamine button with great effect. You probably haven't found that one game. The one that makes hours turn into minutes, but kind of ruins your life at the same time, and you end up ignoring many way more important aspects of something to be jealous about. You really want to try. MMOs are famous for doing that. I've been playing World of Warcraft since 2005 and am hooked. And in some games, I leave them running all the time. Like in baseball games, I simulate 50 years ahead to see how players do. Two sides for this answer. 1. Games like Skyrim. I got it when it came out 10 years ago, can easily rack hours even playing very little. And 2. My job. I get home at 2 p.m. 4 hours before my wife. Sue video games with the cat. He's not very good, but I still play quite a bit. I've been playing BF4 for 10 years. Full-time job but no kids. Gaming is my major hobby, so I game when I can. A lot of time I play games, then minimize them and start doing something else. It depends on your stage in life. As a kid I have maxed out the hours logged on Pokemon Red and Blue. It didn't hinder my ability to play console games in middle school or high school, even as I was working part-time. In college it was the first time I had full control of my schedule and workload was way less so. MMO months of hours logged on WoW was easy to pull off. It wasn't boring. It was something I went back to as a coping mechanism for whatever stress I had. Now as a part of the working force, phone games are the most compatible for my lifestyle since I'm never at the computer for leisure anymore. 1,000 hours over the course of years isn't crazy. Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018. That would be less than an hour a day. Online multiplayer games self-generate content via PvP. 200 hours in a single-player game is tough. I have 5K hours in a couple of games like Ark, Atlas and Conan. I don't know what I have in WoW, but it's gotta be over 10K. I work 40 hours a week. Occasionally 46-ish. I don't have kids. And my wife understands this is my hobby. We have time together. But otherwise, if I'm not at work, asleep, doing chores, I'm gaming. Usually it's playing a few hours a day for a long time. Rarely it's NEETs playing for 12 hours a day. If you get that one game that scratches the itch, you come back to it over and over again. Rookie numbers. Seriously though, I think for me the answer is legit addiction. Pure artificial dopamine to quell the existential dread. This is why I don't enjoy progression rating in MMOs. These sessions can last 4.5 hours with one 5-10 minute break. Concentration starts declining and you are exhausted at the end. I'm someone that games a lot with a full-time job. It's my default activity when I'm not doing anything else. Where others are watching TV, I'm gaming. So I don't watch a lot of TV, but at least 4 hours gaming every evening easily. The games where I've clocked up those kinds of hours have been playing for years and years. Biggest one is Warcraft 3. It doesn't have a counter to clock your hours, but I'd guess at least 3,000 in the last 20 years. I have a few hundreds of hours on quite a few games. But mainly stuff like Stellaris, Hearts of Iron, Cities Skylines, OpenTTD, where I can just zone out and play for hours on end. The games I have the most hours on and where I get to the 1,000 hours mark are either competitive multiplayer games like COD, where I spend a ton of time practicing, MMOs like FFXIV or Blade and Soul, where I grind my life out, or RimWorld, because that game does something to my brain and I just can't stop playing it. I do have a full-time job, but I live alone. And games are pretty much my only hobby, so no other way of spending my free time anyway. Don't watch TV. We sacrifice sleep. There's a game called Old School RuneScape, and there's literally people on there who have insane amounts like 10,000, 40,000 hours playtime. Pure addiction. In terms of the games you listed, with some of them being new releases, the people who have the playtimes you say are likely not parents or people in stable relationships. Probably teenagers, unemployed people, or students. It really depends if you're new to gaming or not, I think. I never played video games growing up, so I bought a PlayStation at 17 from summer job. Oh boy, I got addicted. Playing DayZ, I have like 500 hours on that game. Dude, if you ever played a game like Path of Exile, you'd understand. How do people play 18 holes of golf? Just to add on to other people's correct responses. A lot of the games I log high hours on are games I play a ton, but also tend to leave paused while I do work or household stuff. I'm at 500 hours on my current obsession Against the Storm, but at least 150,200 hours of that is with the game minimized. When the game's fun, how can you possibly get bored? Don't look at my day's playtime or even my WoW playtime from years ago. I think most use it as a way to forget about life's problems. Video games have gotten me through a few breakups over the years. If you are a serious gamer, knocking out 3-4 hours on weekdays and 12 hours per day on the weekend gives 44 hours per week. After half a year, that gives 1,000 hours. If you want to be competitive at the world-class level, that's what you need for a lot of games. 1. You can spend like 8 hours a day playing video games pretty easily, even with a full-time job. Some people get off of work and hop on WoW until they go to bed. 2. Some games have a lot more replay value than others. Red Dead has a big campaign and online multiplayer. If you like the gameplay loop, why stop? 3. I have thousands of hours in Elder Scrolls Online from leaving my PC on when I'm out doing stuff. Sometimes I AFK for many hours because I just forgot I was playing. I have a habit of leaving my PC on a paused game. At least half my HOI 4 hours are just from me getting up and doing something else. Really bad habit, I know. People leave the game open when doing other things. Ask my ex.